How you guys doing? This is Andrew. Welcome to another episode of Embrace the Opposite. Um, really excited about the message today, guys. But before I get into it, please don't forget to like and subscribe and share if this video compels you to do so. I hope it does. So today what I want to talk about is redefining marriage, redefining life partnerships, and what type of attitude should we have as individuals entering into that partnership willingly. So I think a lot of times what happens is, in our culture, in America anyway, is we have this high divorce rate. Divorce rate's like between 50 and 60%. Some polls will tell you it's over 60%. And that's a statistic, and you can say what you want about it, but I think the fact that it's even close to that tells us that there is some sort of disconnect between what people think marriage is going to be, what their expectation is, and then what actually they experience inside of the walls of marriage, right? So you go into it with this idea, this very Americanized idea that it's a joyous occasion. It's a celebration for the wedding, and then you go off and you live happily ever after, and there's supposed to be, family and children and some hardships, but not a lot of hardships, some struggles, but not a lot of struggles. It's mostly supposed to be a comfortable, progressive, growing situation. I've been married 4 years. And I can tell you now from studying meticulously my own marriage that is not the case. And I think that's the issue. I think we need to start to look at marriage, life partnerships as a grueling process of sacrifice, of change, of gut-wrenching struggle that eventually has some sort of payoff. And I think most of us don't know what that payoff is. I don't think you should know what that payoff is, because that kind of takes the, if I'm working hard at becoming a good athlete, becoming good at basketball, I know what the payoff is. My goal is either going to be some sort of professional level of playing or the NBA. In this dynamic, in this marriage realm, life partnership realm, I don't think we know what the outcome is, and I'll explain that. We enter into this union. We find someone that we connect with. We find someone that we think we are compatible with. But the whole thing about embracing the opposite is when you get to a certain point, when you start to see all the little differences between you and that other person. And what? I thought we were compatible. The differences are what we need to embrace. The opposite nature of who they are what we need to embrace. A lot of times that doesn't happen. We feel hoodwinked. We feel like we've been led astray. We feel like somewhere along the line, our expectations didn't line up with the reality. Nobody wants to feel that way. We feel like fools. Nobody wants to feel that way. We want to feel like we've made the right decision. We want to feel like we've made a good decision, and that our marriage is going to prosper. But that's not what marriage is for. Marriage is not to make you comfortable. It's not to make you satisfied. And it's not to make you feel warm and fuzzy. We're talking about, and if you look at science, chemistry, for example, when you take two chemicals and you put them together, there is some sort of fusion. There's some sort of response that happens. And that's what happens when two energies, two souls, two psyches come together and try to become one. I don't think this planet, as a human race, I don't think we have any idea the true power of marriage or lifelong partnerships. Two people becoming one. We don't know what that means. We don't know what that looks like. When we talk about compatibility, or you can talk about compromise, there's this idea that one person is going to change, that one person is going to sacrifice, is going to compromise so that the other person can get through and feel better. And I think that's, to some degree, that's an important part of marriage. But I think really what I'm talking about is entering into it knowing that you are going to be taxed, knowing that you are going to be stretched, knowing that you are going to be put through the most rigorous, hard process that you'd ever deal with in your life, and being willing to do it, and being and accepting of it, and be loving to that idea. See, that's not how we're programmed as human beings, especially here in this country. We're programmed to seek out all the comfort. We're programmed to look for the good and embrace the good and embrace the things that make us feel like we belong. But that's the definition of marriage. The true definition of marriage shouldn't be that. It should be something that turns me into something else. I should go through a metamorphosis. I should be so different on the other side that when I look back, I barely recognize who I was on my wedding day. And these are not bad things. These are not things that we should shy away from. These are things that I think are part of the human experience. Things that change us, that form us into something different, that when we are done with the journey, I see my scars, I see my battle scars, I see how I got stronger. Wow, I used to not be able to do that, now I can. I'm speaking in a physical sense, but what I'm talking about in the marriage is I never thought I could love someone in this way. But if you stay in the marriage and you're fighting against the system and you're seeking out the comfort and you're always looking for ways to be comfortable, to be satisfied, to be in a place where you feel like you belong, well, that's not what marriage is going to get you. That's not what marriage is for. We've been duped. Marriage is for the gods, if you will. Marriage is for the beings that want something so incredible out of life that they will go to the extent of choosing a partner, knowing that that situation is going to bring them to the brink of death, and being willing to enter into that situation, being willing to go through all of that for that other person. That's what love is. That's what the fusion of the two energies is. The life partnership, the marriage, these things are part of our experience as human beings, and they've been in play for thousands of years, but I don't think we've truly understood it, and I don't think the world has seen it. I think when the world sees it, when the world sees two people come together and love each other so strong that they're willing to sacrifice their own psyches, their own processes and ways of doing things, their own comfortability, they're willing to sacrifice all of that for this other person, something will happen. And frankly, I don't know what that will be because I've never seen it. I don't even see it in my own relationship. We're on step maybe 1A out of 300 to this process. But I believe it, and I have hope. I have hope that charging into this marriage, knowing that it's going to be gut-wrenching, not thinking and not seeking the comfort level all the time, but devoting myself to loving that person and seeing a change in me, that there's something special to that. There's something special to being a human, a free-thinking human being, and going into that. I sometimes think about some of the Messiah figures that we've seen. Namely, I'll bring up Jesus. In the Bible it says that in John chapter 1 it says the Word was made flesh. It says the Logos was made flesh. And if you think about that, you're talking about a being that is outside of space and time, that is separate from the flesh, right? And chooses to become flesh, chooses to marry, to fuse together with something that it knows is going to create much pain, that is going to cause that being to have much sacrifice, and perhaps even bring that being to death, which is what we see in the story of the New Testament. And so when we think about marriage, in summary, when we think about marriage, guys, we shouldn't think about only joy. We shouldn't think about only pain. We shouldn't think about all of the good things that come along with our expectations of what we see in fairy tales and what we see in movies and what we believe we want to do better than our parents did. Throw all of that out the window. Instead, decide that for the betterment of my life and my consciousness and my psyche, that I'm going to enter into a relationship. I see something in this person so strongly, I'm going to enter into a relationship with them where I know that I'm going to have a very painful, very hard, and a very tough situation in my life. But I'm doing it because I believe in love, and I have hope, and I have faith that this person will create a change in me that is who I'm destined to be. That's the other side of it. You got to believe that who you are now isn't who you're supposed to be. You're not supposed to be this way of comfort for the rest of your life. You're supposed to be altered. You're supposed to be changed. And if you can find someone to partnership with you in that endeavor, well, I think then you find a very special gift in this life. Guys, that's what I wanted to share today. I hope it was helpful. I was really excited about sharing this one. I've been meditating on a lot for a long time. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe to the channel. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.